The camera's hot right now. And then forget the rest of us in here. I want you to speak directly to this camera because this is how we're going to evaluate you. We're going to look at the camera and see how you're delivering, okay?
Perfect. Early one morning, a man was walking along the shore of a beach, and he saw the most unusual thing. He saw that the beach had been littered with thousands and thousands and thousands of starfish. He sees a young woman in the distance picking up starfish, one at a time, and throwing them into the ocean. Till he's close enough for her to be heard, he says to her, "You're wasting your time. There's thousands of starfish. You can't possibly make a difference." She looks to him, picks up another starfish, and she throws it as far as she can. And she says to him, "But I made a difference to that one," and picked up another. I believe the race is crowded to be a leader, but the field is wide open to be a servant. So often, we're trying to be in search of an accomplishment or achievements or titles or recognition that we forget it's the small acts of kindness that's what really builds our character and really leaves a legacy of greatness. I've had several leadership positions before in the past, and I'll be the first one to admit that I wasn't always the best leader. I wasn't always the best person to be around, but I learned from those experiences. There's one that stands out. Just recently, I work at a fitness gym, California Family Fitness, and I was the assistant fitness manager. And I didn't really have very much training prior to becoming the assistant fitness manager. I just always felt comfortable leading a team. And I didn't lead by example, and my peers lost respect for me because I put fear down other people's throats, and I didn't act with kindness and love and compassion. Just yesterday, I had a conversation with one of my mentors, Lewis Young, and he said to me, "Christian, you speak on serving and you speak on helping others. My question for you is, do you do this with a 100% I don't care if I get rewarded or not mentality? Or do you do this because you do believe that there is an external reward at the end of the race, even if it might not be in this lifetime, maybe in another lifetime?" And I stopped. And he said, "Christian, I want you to give me an answer in 24 hours. Don't think about it now." So what my message for me to you today is, do you do your acts of kindness with compassion, with love, with genuine, wholehearted, I just do this to be a good person? Or is there something inside of you, even the slightest bit, that says, I'm doing this because I think even the smallest bit of me says that I'm going to get something in return later on? To me, what it really came down to was approval. It came down to, is it the fact that I do things to be a good person, or is it that I need some kind of approval from somebody else or some external force to give me a sense of meaning, to give me a sense of worth, to give me a sense of value? And just this morning, I asked myself one of the hardest questions that I've ever had to ask myself. Is it the fact that I'm in pursuit of being great? Is it the fact that I want to speak to tens of thousands of people across the world? Is that the driving force in my life? There's a difference between being a world-class speaker and having a world-class message. There's a difference between being a world-class speaker and having a world-class message. And I say to you today that I speak to an audience of one, to just one person at a time. That is how we truly change the world. You know, I believe that we all have gifts. We all have talents. We all have time. These are the three things that we can use to live a life of service. We can use our time. It takes no special talent or ability to stack chairs after a meeting. It takes no special talent to pick up trash where you work. It takes no special talent to open the door for the person behind you just because they were carrying a heavy case. You can also volunteer your talents. What is it that you're specifically good at? What gifts have been given to you? Personally, one of my talents is my ability to teach. And sometimes I get that confused with speaking. And so often, some of my mentors say, Christian, you can't confuse speaking with teaching. And even though naturally I'm drawn to learning and wisdom and insight and knowledge and passing that on to others, that doesn't always mean that you're a good speaker. So sometimes we just have to disconnect that. But I truly believe that we all have gifts that we can pass on to others. And lastly, we can also, instead of our time, our talents, treasure. We can financially give to institutions, to our favorite nonprofits, to our family, to our friends, to our loved ones. Tithing, that's a great example. How much are you giving away from what we receive in our income? To me, I like to think 10%, that's a good place to start. But can we give more? It's that little bit of uncomfortableness that gives us the ability to open our hearts to just giving sincerely and wholehearted with authenticity. So often, when we serve others, something chemically happens in our brain. We release certain chemicals that just make us feel good, that just make us feel better. We can spend money on possessions, materialistic things like cars, houses, the fancy toys, whatever it may be. We can go on vacations, experience trips, go see the world. But the research shows that when we give so much of ourselves away to others, that is how we live a life of purpose. To truly and sincerely live a life of purpose, lasting purpose. Someone once said, your talents are God's gift to you. What you do with those talents are your gift back to God. So what are you giving back every single day? The 24 hours we have is a life in miniature. A couple months ago, I volunteered my talent and my time to go to a group home called Koinonia with one of my mentors, Kevin Bracey. We were speaking to a group of maybe 20 to 30 different students from about 13 to 18 years old. And when I walked through those doors, I could just feel the energy completely change when they heard words of positivity, when they heard words of compassion, when they heard words of somebody cares about me enough to take out the time in their schedule to just give back to some of the most unlikely people. When we ask them, what is it that you want to be when you grow up? What is it that you want to have when you grow up? What is it that you want to aspire to be? They all said family. I just want a family. I just want somebody that I can provide for, someone to take care of, someone to believe in me. And I was absolutely blown away. My heart was stunned. I said, you know, here I am focusing on my family and focusing on the financial gains that I can make to provide for them. And some people, they want somebody to care about them. And if there's anything that I left you with today, it's just live a life of servanthood. And I think that's so hard for people today because naturally we are selfish by nature. We are naturally selfish. We come out the womb saying, me, take care of me, help me, feed me, clean up after my poop, clean up after my mess. And humility is a daily struggle we have to work through every single day. Putting aside that me first mentality, putting aside that, hey, I'm the center of the universe, everybody in here's got to listen to me because I got the stuff. And that's what really breeds self-forgetfulness in our ability to put aside our ego. Living in a place that's so narcissistic that, we put so much of our emphasis and our meaning into how many likes we get on Facebook and how many followers we have on Instagram and, how many friends we have in our circle. And when we can put that all aside, put that all away, that's how we experience greatness. And today, so many people experience greatness by a title or prestige or some kind of merit or honor. But illustrated beautifully in Rick Warren's Purpose-Driven Life, someone once said, greatness is measured not in terms of title, but to do all the good you can, in all the places you can, in all the time that you can, for as long as you ever can. To really do good, just because that's the only way of being. So what is your way of being? Can we put on the apron of humility? Can we put on the lowest of lowest title? Or even forget the title. Just do what we do because that's our only way of being. That's how we live a life of service. And this is something that I'm consistently working on. I'm not an expert. I'm just a normal person. And I aspire to serve, not just where I want to, but where I'm needed. I think, so much when we think about serving, we do it when it's convenient for us. We do it when we have the time to do it. We do it when it fits in our schedule. But real servants, they say, no, forget that. I'm going to be available to help others whenever I'm called. Just like a soldier standing for duty. We have to be soldiers that are serving to help wherever it may be needed. Wherever. What a hard concept to really grasp is that our agenda has to be completely put aside to truly be those real servants that we can be. Man, I struggle with this all the time. All the time. But it's something that we can truly consistently work on and build on and foster on. And when we do that, it is contagious. It is absolutely contagious. Because when you open that door for somebody, guess what? I guarantee you, more likely than not, they're going to do it for somebody else that day. When you give a random gift card to a stranger or write a handwritten thank you card, thank you so much for just being a good person. Wow, that made me feel special. Nobody does that anymore. Nobody takes that kind of time anymore. It's rare to have that kind of authenticity, to have that kind of leadership, to have that kind of self-forgetfulness. And when we can do that consistently, I guarantee you it will spread like wildfire. The race is crowded to be a leader, but the field is wide open for those who are willing to serve. Today, just one person, just one starfish that I reached out to, and I have fulfilled my purpose in life. If we can all just reach out to one starfish every single day, our purpose will be complete.
Are you complete?
I'm sure.
Thanks, bro.